people can plainly, like grocery store, walk down the narrow way, walk out the, you know, spread everything out as far as possible. That way they're worrying about people getting too close because space, what we have and how space. So let's use it. You know, why not? So it's one of those just spread things out, put stuff in between the customer yourself. That way there's that barrier. Your tables up front so they can look at it close without touch things, and you know there's always going to be that screws up or touches something. It's just you just gotta needs to know like remind please look with your eyes and it for the most day like the fair went really well, so I can't going well as long as you just put the rules right, and even if you put a sign saying please don't touch, whatever you want to do, have it, make it a little bit more fun and light, people will more accommodate, but trying to yell at people and you have to go here and making it aggressive, then it's just gonna turn back, fight you, and it's just more of a hassle. So try to just get everybody on the bandwagon. Well, was that enough?
Yes, Katie, that's good. That's exactly right. And that's exactly what you did.
We tried. It was, even the vendors were all trying hard because they are at the same, just like all you see, everyone else's sales. Everyone wants to do it. We just got to think about it and do it smart. Oh.
Any more discussion about the yard sale specifically?
Well, I think in light of the discussion we've had and the preparedness that the Council on Aging has rendered to us, that I'd be willing to make approve both proposals that they've come to us with this evening.
I don't think we actually need a vote or a motion for a vote on these proposals. I think this is more of a discussion. I think the board agrees that everybody's very prepared, and we may, have more ideas, and there's open dialogue, and we're invited to mark things up and send back recommendations. There are a couple of recommendations that we've already kind of made in terms of adding the waiver, making sure that it's clear that that the activities are in a tent, and some kind of common sense things around the yard sale. But I'm comfortable with both opening plans. I don't know if the rest of the board wants to chime in and give their yay or nay, but we don't need an official vote on this.
So, can I
Who
just ask one
knows?
question?
Maybe eventually, maybe with the new, as the weeks come, they'll loosen up and we won't have to worry so much.
I like
I
that.
hope not. I hope not. So can I just ask one question here? So does this mean that we have permission to set a date and start preparing for opening, like ordering the tent and the chairs? And what does this mean for us? Where do we go from here? Are you giving us the permission to go ahead with our plan, or?
I'm not hearing objections from the board. Are there any?
No.
Again, I have no objection to it, but in thinking of your comment, Kate, I think it's something, if a group comes to the Board of Health with these types of situations, I think we should make some type of official statement in the form of a motion so that they don't seem to think that they don't have to come, they're going to approve it anyway. I think if we're going to review it and scrutinize it, I think we ought to give our stamp of approval to it.
Yeah, I understand your sentiment, but technically it doesn't require a vote. If you guys
I
want to
agree.
throw a motion on the table and vote on it, feel free.
Well, I just don't want to have a group come in and say, well, you didn't make them look at our program and we're not going to worry about it.
I think we're looking for direction from the Board of Health. I mean, ultimately, your responsibility. We look to you for guidance, and certainly we want you to some kind of, I'm not sure if they have a quorum, may have. They have 5 members.
We do.
So,
But again, in this case, it doesn't legally require a vote. If you guys would like to throw a motion on the table and vote on it.
So I will make a simple motion. I make a motion that the Hubbardston Board of Health approves the senior center plan with modifications that were discussed, and that the, what was the other, phasing out here, long day. What was the second thing, or the yard sale? Can go forward with the modifications that were discussed. And that we are, by giving permission, just stating that we have made a thorough, as good a review as possible of the events planning.
Do we have a second on the motion on the floor?
I'll second
Second
it.
it.
All right. Call to vote, Kathy,
Yes.
Colleen,
Yes.
Judy,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Kate, yes. Valerie, pass. Unanimous.
Claudia, make sure you come to see the building inspector before we do anything with the tent, because he's going to have to approve where it's placed, and it has to be inspected by him and the fire chief before anyone can use it for occupancy.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
You know where to find me.
I know where to find you. I'll get Ryan and we'll discuss where we think it should go, and then we'll make sure it's a good place to have it. All right.
Sounds good.
And thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate all you've done.
And thanks for your hard work.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Night, folks.
thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Moving back to the agenda.
Bye, John.
Katie, you want to
Yes.
forward your plan for the events?
So the first one up is Dash. That is going on, the date is August 29th. Down at Brick, in the pretty picture that's exactly where we launched. That's the boat right. But yeah, so I haven't gone any gung-ho with the Dinghy Dash yet, because I wanted to make sure that we would be okay still to have you guys as the last step to make sure we're good to go. This is pretty much everyone is spread apart on this event, but again, I'd rather report health first, and yeah, not just assume that everything's okay, you know, in this world of COVID. So I did send a couple pictures to Mallory of last year's event that you could actually see the people sitting up on the shoreline, and just like at a beach or anything, you group together by your friends, but then you're not next people, there's space, because you just kind of space out together with your family, close friends or whatever group, and you know, all the spectators are grouped together, but they're all got spaces, even last year COVID. So this event is, like I said, pretty much a no-brainer. Over by the boat ramp where the competitors are, again, we're all just lingering in the background now, and it's easily like tons of space there. So, it's usually, last year it took an hour. The year before that, the first year, we had a little bit longer because we figure it out. You know, first time to do it.
Mhm.
Making stuff up as we go. And that 2.5 hour event. So this event is a very short, but it's super fun. It's fun to watch, and I'm hoping you all will, you know, give the blessing. You know, yes, I will put out. You're gonna wear masks. You want to set up a table with me, and there will be one porta potty just in case, because you know, if you're there for an hour and a half, you have to eventually go. But other than that, that's about it. This is pretty easy, all outside. telling people to bring their own camp chair or blanket down just like last 2 years. And sunscreen, because, you know, it's a sunny day. So,
All right, questions from the board?
Just an idea, Katie, that maybe if you had some small plastic soccer type cones that you could actually put out every 7 to 8 feet so that people had unofficial spots, if you will, that it makes help them again in a positive way, space themselves out far enough.
okay. You can look at that. They go, because the people go on both sides. They kind of wrap, because they spread out. We do have to put cones per DCR, like to keep them off the bridge, because that's obviously not safe. And the DPW helps me put those there. And then there's people all along both sides, and they wrap around the whole peninsula. So to spread out, so that way they can actually take pictures and see. The bulk of the people are on that the side of the bridge, side. But our people on the other, they're so spread apart. I can see what I can get. I don't know how that works. I can look. So.
Eddie,
It's
do you
just,
want the participants to wear life jackets?
I'm sorry, what?
You require the participants to wear life jackets or?
Yes. Oh, yeah. If you're going to boat, so you have to have a captain, up to 3 crew members. They all have to have life. There was one group of kids that got the boat before we yell at them the first year, but they so they weren't. They couldn't they could just stand up. You know, they didn't even make it very far. You asked the fire department to go out in their boat, just somebody thinks way up there. Not that they're that far. We've had some, kids that, after paddling for a while in a boat that, they're probably tied, life jacket or not, fire department. So we do ask the fire department, they've been out in their boat to, stay, make sure that we don't.
I was just gonna say Dollar Tree has little cones and little flags. I don't know if you want to go there or not.
I'll see what I can find.
Will all the participants be related to each other, or are they friends? And if they're friends,
No.
they're going to be wearing masks?
Yeah, usually we've only had that one group the first year of 3 really close buddies, and they did it just for fun. Other than that, else has been a family group. But most of them are single boats, like it's one person per boat, bulk of them. There's only a few, siblings or the parents.
Okay.
Yeah, most of it's family. It's not a lot of, yeah. But most of them, if you looked at it, there's pictures on the Facebook page, Hubbardston Celebration, both years.
Right.
You can go see the pictures. Most of them are single boats.
Okay.
Any other questions? Katie, is that the only event that you?
No, we're going to talk about field.
All right. Do we want to move on to field day?
Sure. So I'm not sure if has reached out yet. Mallory had kind of touched base, out like I have, because vendors that are for final approval. But I work with Joyce Green through the Lions, and the Lions take one side, and I take on the vendor side. To my knowledge, Joyce is still doing her side. If not, I had said that I would take on food and that kind of payment. But to my is keeping the normal, not the normal run, but her normal part in it. And I'm just to do the vendors. But I did want to touch sure that if we did the same kind of rules that we did for the fair, we'd still be allowed to do field day. Field day is scheduled for the 19th, 9 to 2, the rain date of the 20th. So right now, I would do the same kind of, out that same, all the vendors, same information out to people that, you know, look with your eyes, not with your hands. You know, I would like to, if I could grab hand sanitizer again, I'm glad to put that out as well. So I'm hoping, you know, Joyce did come Tuesday and saw what I did, and of the way that we figured to make it work between the health and involved. So she does have all the information, and my knowledge, she was planning on doing this thing. I know she did start. I just, she hasn't gotten as far as I have. I have others that need an answer, you know, one way or the other sooner or later. So, and I don't want to keep it hanging if I don't, you know. But it would be all the same, all those same rules and that we sent out with the fair.
Katie, I think the town fair went well with your setup, and therefore, if you're going to use the same protocol and plan, I don't have a problem with going forward with your activities for that.
How many people come at your fair versus how many people are coming to the Hubbardston Field Day on average year? And the other question I have is how come I'm a little concerned because, I mean, even the oldest fair in the country, Hardwick Fair, canceled. And I've already heard, and I do fairs because we pass out emergency preparedness information. So Athol is considering, I think they've already canceled. They have a huge fair, huge festival. And then Hardwick, that one surprised me. But everybody all around Sterling, they're all canceling. So my question is, are we wise in moving ahead with these plans?
Well, it's easier to cancel than it is to think and actually do it. I throw people under the bus hard like I just did, but that's the reality of it. Some of them are obviously just too big to go away. Like you can't do the 4th of July in Boston. That's just too many people, too big of crowds. It's just not going to happen. But in these smaller towns like Princeton, I don't see why we can't. We have space. We can do this in a smart way and still have people that want to come. You know, like if you're worried, then those people aren't going to come. They don't feel safe. They're not going to come. They don't think it's a good idea for them. They will not come. And we had a decent turnout for COVID season, you know, for only having it for 4 hours, and it ran for the last half an hour or about an hour there. You know, I can't tell you exactly how many people come in and out because there's entrances and exits, and that's my one thing is I never know how many people are back. Then there's no way to count. But Kate was there and Kathy were both there, and they could see that there was people milling about. Nobody was like all grouped together. People were keeping their distance. Everybody had their mask, unless they were eating, you know. But then if they're eating, down on a blanket, music anyway, and just, you know, and no, they weren't near anyone else other than their family unit. You know, that's the thing is, use your space that you have. Some places don't have it, or they just aren't willing to reach it, or the way that they have things, it's like in the center of their boundary. That makes it more difficult. Not as much space as the rec field with massive soccer fields, football field. So that's what we have. We have space.
Yeah, I can say that the way the fair operated, and even it being in an earlier phase with kind of more restrictions around it, it was really well spaced out. There was no, people kind of stuck to their own group. They kept distance between everybody. There was distance built into everything. It actually flowed really nicely. It was probably less risk going to that fair and walking the whole thing than going to the grocery store. It was,
Oh, yeah.
in terms of a risk scenario for a citizen of the town, right?
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with you, Kate. Exactly.
And even when because I drove by to head out of town and run errands, and there were more people because it was busier in lunchtime, and it was still the same kind of pattern. And then when I drove back, it was just before it started to rain, Katie, and
Yeah.
it was consistent.
Yeah.
So I thought, I think it was about the planning, and I agree that the larger fairs, there's no way the Sterling Fair could operate because the way that it's set up and
Yeah.
the scale of it and what
Yeah.
it attracts.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to know the numbers or have an estimate, but I don't have any objections to running it the same way, especially because I see it being as limited a risk as we could possibly get.
My thing is like, we're talking like, I know that when I ran the board at health fair, we had the tent and everything else. I mean, the numbers would jump up around 700 because, of course, we were offering all kinds of free stuff. But on an average, I think that the Hubbardston Fair runs, what, 350? I mean, those of you who've been there before, when they usually run, what, 350 that come out and participate in it. So, I mean, that was my concern. We're not dealing with 100 people. We're dealing with, 300 to 500.
You mean people coming to
walking through and looking around and
but
talking
even
to people, because it's kind of a social event. People stop and chit chat with each other. That's why.
But even if
it's not just a fair, it's also a social event.
But even if you put people on that soccer field, you could still put them more than 6 feet apart, still not even cover half of the soccer field, just one of them. Those soccer fields are massive. Like, have you ever actually measured them? I had all the booths. I had 12 in between and 15 for aisles. Those are like the minimum spots. But I actually kind of measured, because I like to, because why not? I always say booth 10 by 10, but I give it 12 by 12 spots. Add in at least 2 extra feet, and we have to keep them. So I'll say, I'll put 12 feet apart. Yeah, just to make sure I have minimum 12-foot space in between. So it's even with all those booths that we had at the fair, there was still room to put even more than that and still be so spread apart that there's no way they're gonna be able to, people were not standing around congregating, and even if they were chit-chatting, they were still standing around, at least the 6 feet apart, if you saw each other on the street. That's the good thing. Everyone's kind of working together to make this happen. They're not doing yucky, gross things and all hovering together with masks off and huggies and everything. They're, they're all working together. They know it's not going to happen if they don't. So.
The only thing is that, it's abundance of caution. That's the only thing that I have concern about. As long as you're going, you're maybe even over planning, I'm comfortable with it. I am not going, but that, if the plans are good, then I'm comfortable with the plans. If they're over and above what's needed, and which was my concern with the seniors and making sure that it's over and above what's needed, then I can go ahead and just say fine, but I won't be there, but that's okay.
And that's what point of this is if you don't feel comfortable, then don't come. There's so many people that need something to do, like, or else they, for mental health, need to get out and do something. Summertime's the perfect time if you plan something out correctly in a large outdoor open space. You know, come winter, we're not going to be able to, we're all going to be cooped up inside going stir crazy. So now it's time to try to allow people to get some well-needed out and about and at least see other people, you know? Like, I can see people, they're actually here. So,
Katie, I think you did a fabulous job for the town fair. And if you're gonna set up the vendor side, just like you did for the town fair, Judy, there will be no problems.
yeah,
Kate
thank
and I both witnessed the setup and the activity level throughout the day. I didn't stay there a long time either. I have my own restrictions that I need to watch. But the way she set it up was as good as it gets. And no one did keep the publicity down so that it's really just, again, geared for the townspeople versus Sterling Fair, which advertises all over and brings people in from Boston. If we're keeping it local, like she did for the town fair, I don't have one doubt that it will be okay.
yeah, because that's the other thing is
Katie, you did a great job.
I'm leaving where I'm not to advertise a word of mouth kind of either about it or you don't. So that way it's, the vendors they said they had a really good day. It was good. But again, it was like, you had to know about it because I wasn't paying to advertise it. It was on, you know, stuff on the Facebook page, to spread it. And I tried to, you know, like normally spread it far and wide. This year, not so much. We just, you either know about it, you don't feel comfortable to go, or you don't. But yeah, it's the plans are well overly done for, like, I overdo it for stuff, or else I know I won't be able, you know.
Colleen or Vin?
I think you should go ahead.
I'm fine with it.
I'll make the motion that we approve the preliminary plans for the Hubbardston Fair, with the reservation, however, that we have
With
the
the
right to
Field day.
monitor, field day, monitor and or cancel if conditions change. I don't think things are gonna happen in the fall, I believe, but let's hope.
Right. And also the dinghy dash. Will you include that too, Vin?
I'm sorry, you broke up one more time, Kathy.
Will you also include your the dinghy dash on August 29th?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. How could I forget?
Great. So we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, put it to a vote. From the top, Kathy,
Yes.
Colleen,
Yes.
Judy,
Yeah, that's fine.
Vin,
Yes.
and Kate is a yes.
All right, thank you, appreciate it, and send over anything that we need over. I'll keep in touch with Mallory about things, just to make sure we're still going in the right. Okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
Kate.
Kate.
All right, the other top of the agenda item under the same set before we move on is the Cauldron Farm Campground. Mallory, is there background on this that you want to provide?
So I sent over, well, last meeting we had, this is for Bella and Raven Caldera. They came to us with the application for a primitive campground. And we asked that they provide us some opening plans after Judy sat in on the DPH phone call. I think it was the Friday one she sat in on. And this is what the set of rules and the tracking sheet and the sign-in sheet that she's going to be using for anyone coming to the campground at this time. So I guess we just have to review them, and if we approve them, then we'll have to vote on the permit for her campground.
Yeah, I read them, and I also got a little note from Raven, and he said, she said that both Bella and Raven were not planning on doing any more than like one pod at a time, which meant like one group camping at a time. And I guess this is back for us where they have to walk in several, I guess maybe a mile or two into the backwoods, and that's where they end up setting up camp. So I'm fine with it. There's definitely social distancing there.
Yeah, it's kind of built in, right?
500 feet off the road. I don't think it's a mile back, but it's a ways back.
Yeah.
And I assume when they just knock on the door, that means Bella's residence. Is that the
Yeah.
door?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Any other comments or input from the board? Kathy, Colleen?
It's fine.
Sorry,
with-
I was
I-
trying
I'm
to pull
sorry.
it out. My computer's very.
I read through it and I thought it looked really good. I didn't know what a pod was when I read it. I guess I'm not into primitive camping, but yeah, it sounded good. The fact that they're only going to have one of those going at a time. That sounds good to me.
So everyone is aware on the sign-in sheet, the person named Vinny is not me. But I think it's fine. I'll make the motion to approve the proposal.
All right. Do we have a second on the motion?
I'll second it.
Right. Put it to a vote. Kathy?
Yes.
Colleen?
Yes.
Judy?
Yep.
Vin?
Yes.
And Kate is a yes. All right. Motion passes. Moving on to, sorry, I have to toggle back and forth like documents. I keep losing the one I want. All right, so we're going back to the top of the agenda and review of the minutes from 7:14. Has everybody had the chance to review the minutes? And is there any discussion, edits, or changes to be made?
It looked fine to me except for a couple of spelling. First page, building gazebos, etc. ETC, not ECT.
Oh.
And under action tabled at this time, it should be names instead of she, he for consistency, not constancy.
Oops.
Outside of that, it was fine.
I had no other edits. Any other edits from the board?
I saw none.
All right.
I'll move to accept the minutes with the noted edits.
All right, I will second. All in favor, starting at the top. Kathy?
Yes.
Colleen?
Yes.
Judy?
Yep.
Vin?
Yes.
And Kate is a yes. All right. Minutes are accepted. And under the vote, let me go to the top again. Sorry. Putting it all in one document really messed with my head today. But that's all right. The next item is the COVID-19 update on phase 3. Any updates, Mallory, on that topic?
No, I don't have anything new into our office really.
Okay.
Our office is still working at appointment only. We're working still to put in some safety measures like plexiglass and all that good stuff. I think August 1st was the date they were looking to start opening with hours to the public, but I haven't heard anything from Ryan on that yet. He usually sends an update on Wednesdays. So right now we're just status quo in our office. I am there 4 days a week. So if you need to come in, just knock really hard on the door or give us a ring.
Okay. Is there anything new on the MPHN nurses report?
We haven't had any new cases presented since our last meeting, so.
Okay. Moving on to failed systems awaiting action.
So I sent over, I know I got your note from last meeting in regards to Judy wanted to see some information on the system. So I sent over what I could get scanned in just through our scanner. So I sent over the failed Title V that Roddy and Sons did, and the DCR advisory from when they, it looks like at one.
Oh, she froze.
Yep, Valerie, you cut out.
As far as going through the Conservation Commission and the DCR for their advisory hearing, and then it just came to a halt when the new owners purchased it. I also put a copy of the letter that was sent out certified. I haven't heard anything back yet. And Judy, you're more than welcome to come in and take a look at the whole file. I can't scan plans. We don't have a full-size plan scanner.
Yeah.
So, and the files.
You sent more than what I was, and my husband also went through all of the, he keeps everything, so.
Good.
No, not really. But he does have, went through all of the town reports, and he did come up with a list, I have it here, of the different times that it was actually presented before the either Board of Health or before other entities. So that adds a little more history to it.
Yeah, it looks like
I just got it today, so I'll just have to kind of look it over. My question was just, you know, where was all the where all the water versus sewer versus what and all that stuff. So
yeah, I kind of was alarming when I looked through it. There were some emails in there that mentioned active bubbling and all that good stuff. So I don't know if there was any like emergency repair done or anything. But the file folder is kind of a jumbled mess. So I've been trying to piece it together in chronological order with everything right now.
okay.
Yep.
I reviewed everything, and let me say that the Watershed Protection Act does not have anything to do with this parcel, which is the letter from the DCR, because it's not in the watershed zones, and this particular parcel was in effect before the 1992 law went into effect, so it would be exempt anyway. However, what I did find was that we have an interim wellhead protection area, which encompasses the public well that we're talking about. And because it's an interim wellhead protection area, it extends beyond the 400 feet to 750 feet. And if you check the Mass GIS maps for the wellhead protection areas, you find that not only is it in the interim wellhead protection area, but it's also in the surface water supply protection area, zone A. So it's nothing to be worried about if it's a past system, but you know, as we've said so many times, not only did it fail, but now in actuality, after we get the documentation, it's 3 years down the road, not just 2 or 22 months, which is what I thought. So I'm convinced that this is not a very good situation now, more than ever. And we also have the situation where the town is appropriating $15,000 to look into the well system in town. We have to have a matching grant for the, I'm sorry if I didn't write that down or not, but it came out last week and I spoke to Ryan about it, and they're going to be evaluating the possibility of a new well, if it's, and this is all in study, because a couple of reasons. Number one, the adequacy, and number two, the opportunity for the town center to have better water, because all of the properties in town center face the ramifications of a poor septic system and the complications that arise with everybody's well being somewhat closer than they are in the rest of the town. So it looks to me like this is something we should take action on immediately, if not sooner. I don't have any more reason to think that they're going to comply with our requests after 3 years. And not only that, but we're talking about 6 bedrooms. We're talking about 3 families with evidence and reports that this is bubbling up and running into the woods out and back. And I'm not mistaken, now this is something I wasn't able to verify, but this public water supply that we have, I don't believe it's a deep well. It sounds like it's a shallow surface water well, which means if this effluent is contaminating the surface water of the area, it's eventually going to end up in our well. It looks like a situation that is not going to be resolved soon either. And it also says the tank is undersized for the amount of bedding. This is a major system that has to be resolved, completely overdone. The sooner the better.
Yeah, and I think they are planning, when I talked to the daughter before they left for vacation, they are planning on coming forward to the Board of Health with plans, so. But that letter was sent certified, so we'll know when they got it.
Well, I noticed when last time I was up there buying a pizza that they're going to be back on August 29th. 27th.
I don't know who's going, if they're all going or if she's going or.
If they all go and they're going to be on vacation, it disturbs me even more.
Mm.
And this
Yeah, I think they're actually closing the shop for
Mhm.
almost a month to go.
also has a problem with their well, according to this Title V inspection. Well, I'm sorry.
Are they still open this week?
Title V, the MLS listing that I looked up prior to this sale disclosed that the well needed a new well and a new septic.
I think they are, Kathy. I think they're open until the end of this week.
Right. This week.
I better go stock up on some pizza.
So, Mallory,
Yep.
you and I should go to a property inspection.
A property inspection?
We need to move forward on this. I haven't actually walked it. When the original report of the bubbling was brought to our attention, Bill Homans went and did the inspection of the property and spoke with the owner at that time. It's not the new owners, it was the old owner. And they got the tank pumped and then the problem disappeared.
Yeah, it looks like they were working with Jen, Susan, Roy at that point too.
Yes, she was backup,
Mm-hmm.
follow through with a neutral pair of eyes, not
Sure.
from anyone in town. I think we need to start putting our face out in front of these people a lot if we're going to get anything done. So are you available this week? Like maybe Thursday afternoon?
Yep, I'll be in the office. I don't have any plans of going anywhere, so whenever
Okay,
you just shoot me an email whenever, like an hour before or so.
Okay.
Can you take pictures and send to me? I think I have something going on, but I'm having a hard time putting this in my head, getting a picture of it in my head. So can you take pictures and send them on? If
I can definitely do that.
Yep, we have the iPad that I can do pictures.
yeah, because I'm having a hard time like trying to put this all together in my head.
I'm with you, Judy.
Okay, so I'm gonna pencil in Thursday afternoon that the two of us will go together and
Sounds good. Maybe we can bring Ryan too if he's around.
sure. Tentatively 1:30?
Sure.
1:30. I'll meet you at the office.
I will be there.
Okay. Any other discussion on 10 Main Street action items?
So for your information, I am forwarding right now. Unfortunately, I've got an iPad that I just got new and I don't have all my addresses in here, but I've sent the information I was talking about to Kathy and Mallory. So Mallory, if you'll pass it along, everybody, I don't have everybody else's addresses. And, it gives you an idea of what has happened and what hasn't happened. I spoke with Ryan about it this afternoon also. And part of the, I think part of the situation that we're running blind on is we still haven't gotten the completed well test. The last well test that's published online is 2018. And Ryan has told me that he'll be sending the most recent test to us as well. And this was a real pain in the neck. I'm sure Mallory will attest to the fact that finding information on this property is difficult because the assessors have not updated all their records either. But Ryan assured me it's happening as we speak too. So that things are going to get better, but right now, this is, how do you want to say it? You know, this is a mess that needs to be attended to. I can't say we should let it go too longer.
Right, that's why I think Mallory and I need to make a visit. We need to go talk to whoever's at Pizza Palace to confirm all this stuff and really say, you know, enough's enough. You come back from vacation, we better have plans.
Where did I see, maybe somebody can help me, where did I see that there was a requirement to pump this every month? Was that one of the Board of Health regulations?
That was one of the
Stipulations.
Stipulations, right. But that hasn't happened.
no.
We don't
And
know.
they were using Lawrence at one point, and I emailed over to Tracy, and I haven't gotten any records back. So she was going to look for them, and if there was anything, she was going to send them over. But I haven't gotten anything from her.
Okay, so now my next question is, and I think this is where we have the need for some advice from somebody, is what is a course of action that the Board of Health can take on this? My opinion is that we can do, but I haven't verified it, but we can do some of the following. We can force that system to be fixed, take it and have it fixed and send them a bill for the repairs. We can evict everybody. We can send cease and desist orders on flushing of the toilets, if you will. We have some authority that we can use, but I don't have the definitive information on what we can and what we should do in a situation like this.
It's all in the septic sanitary code. It's under the Title V. All the remedies are there under the Title
Just
V.
some guidelines, but it doesn't tell us what a course of action should be. I mean, do we really? Anyways.
He's looking for some legal standing on.
Yeah. This would
I
be
don't
one of the
think he
times
has
where, right, one of the times where having someone who has a certification and their licensed inspector installer's permits at hand would be, or they're licensed to be an installer and to do the inspections would be good to have on staff at our disposal. So I don't know if the board has ever had someone that they would just contact. But I couldn't find anything in our records.
Did we consult with maybe the Gardner Board of Health or some other Board of Health that may have some experience with these types of situations?
I can reach
I'd be willing to reach out to them and find out. But, you know, do we have some specific questions so that I have giving out the same question to everybody?
Well, I think the question is, what do we do, or what can we do as a Board of Health with a failed septic system that has not been repaired in 3 years? What are our options?
Okay.
And in the course of an action type of event, what can we actually do? And, you know, I understand it's going to be a legal situation, and I don't want to pursue it, but I think we need to know what we can do.
Judy, if you want to reach out to Gardner, I can reach out to Phillipston and maybe even DPH.
Okay, that would be, so you're gonna reach out to Phil Ledger? I think he's
Phil.
the one that, no?
Yep, Phil.
Yeah, I talk to him about every other day.
Yeah, he's the guru when it comes to this.
Yeah, he is.
How about Matt? Would Matt Hopkinson be available to consult on this? I'm sure he's
I
got.
think he's an engineer, so he approves the plans. I don't know if he would be versed in what to do when we have a failure, but I can ask him.
Well, that's very true, but he's had that experience with the state.
Definitely. Yeah.
You know, and
So I'll reach out to Phil, DPH, and Matt.
And I'll touch base with Lauren and see what her folks over there have to say.
Sounds good.
I think if we're going to have a sit down with these folks, we need our options laid out as well, so that we have,
Yeah.
You know, we don't just go and say, well, we don't know what to do. Have it prepared.
Any other questions on the topic at hand? And the enforcement actions, it's interesting because I've tried to read through several different times and it's not like it's spelled out, Ben.
Yeah, isn't it?
You know, I mean, it is and it isn't. Like they say you can enforce this, you can enforce that. But for example, we can actually, I'm trying to find the, hold on one second. So obviously there are criminal and civil penalties, which we've already brought up in this certified letter that was just sent. Injunctive relief could include issuance of an order to modify or remove any improvements constructed. But there's not really, it's not really spelled out.
Well, sadly enough, the simplest way to resolve this issue would be to call the person who holds the mortgage on the property. They would have a lot more influence, but there is no mortgage that I could think of. So, you know, we don't have that ability to call up and say, hey, look, you know, your property's in a situation, and that they typically take care of it quite readily when the municipalities get involved. But they don't have a mortgage on it, so, or if they don't have a recorded mortgage, yeah. But
Anyway. All right.
please let me know when you go, Kathy. I'd be happy to go if I can make that meeting. You know, I'd be happy to take a walk.
I'm going to shoot for just walking the property with Mallory this Thursday around 1:30.
Any more discussion? All right. The next topic is open repairs, inspections, and plans and review.
Yeah, these all haven't changed since the last time we spoke. The only one I really have an update on is 31 Jordan Lane. Matt Hopkinson has been working diligently with Mark Popham, who designed this plan. I guess this repair to review was quite extensive and required quite a bit of engineering. So Matt just sent me an email this evening after I just checked my emails. And he's just requesting that he can talk to the board at the next meeting on this repair, because there's a little more involved than just the standard. So I am going to invite him to our next Zoom meeting. But other than that, on open pairs and plans and review and perks, nothing else has changed on my end.
Okay. So on parks, there's been no updates.
Nope, I haven't gotten any new plans in on any of those ones. So
No new plans from Seven Moose Horn
No.
Circle?
I haven't got, nothing on any of those.
Okay.
It's been pretty quiet though. I've really only been working with Matt on 31 Geordie, so.
Wait a minute. 87 Hale Road was,
Oh, no, you know what? It looks like the lines might have jumped.
okay, 87 is okay though, right?
87 is good. 7 Moose Horn is good. 31 Geordie should be plans redacted.
Okay.
It looks like I must have copied and pasted the wrong.
Okay.
So the rest are perfect.
Okay, so 87 is wrong. It has been approved.
Yes.
Okay.
And 7 Moose Horn Circle has also
It's approved.
been.
Yeah, that one was approved a while ago.
Well, definitely make those corrections.
Yes, I'll fix that on the agenda. I don't know what happened. I must have copied and pasted over it twice.
All right. Any other discussion on repairs, inspections, plans, or perks? All right, open complaints.
We got a new one on 10 Mount Jefferson. I sent over a copy of a police report. George, who is our assessor, came into the office earlier this week and just advised that he got a phone call from the property owner. It sounds like there's some family issues going on. There was an incident where a daughter broke into the property. The property is now open and exposed, and George was just curious as to if the Board of Health could do an inspection, take a look, and see if there are any anything we can do to maybe get it boarded up and back into safe keeping. So it is considered an abandoned property with the town. So that's kind of how George got involved. And when he was looking into it further, he got in contact with the police department and found out that there was an incident. So it's all kind of being pieced together after the fact. But I did provide Kathy with a copy of the police report. So I don't know if she's had a chance to drive by or not, Kath.
It's on my list to do after going to do a perk tomorrow at 1:30.
Okay.
I'm gonna drive by. I will take some warning tape, if nothing else, to put up if there's an open doorway.
Sure.
I'm sorry, Mallory, who was George again?
George is our assessor from RGIS or RGS. So he's in the office on Mondays only.
And he went up there and inspected it already?
He went out and did a drive-by because it is now being considered a vacant property. So he was changing the value.
Oh, I see.
And he just noticed that there was some open and exposed doors, maybe some windows. Looks like something might have been smashed when the initial break-in took place.
Well, I read the report and it looks like it's been open like that since December, which is when that happened. So it's, and you know, I'm up in that area all the time because we have a relative up there, and that property, I kept saying, God, nobody's living there. It just keeps going downhill, you know, and so it's definitely it's starting to look really bad. I don't know if there's people squatting in there or if it's just open or what. But this, I guess that happened back in December, so it's been vacant for quite some time.
Yeah, that's what George
Actually,
said.
last week when I went by, there were blankets and stuff hanging.
Corner of
There was stuff actually hanging in the front yard and stuff. So I don't know what that's all about. But
Yes,
nobody's
it looks
living
like
there.
the best thing to do probably for us would be to do a housing inspection. Take a look, write up a violation form, violation letter, if there's any violations that are there. Chief of police or whoever investigated, they do have contact information for the owner, so we'll be able to reach the owner. And hopefully we can get that taken care of.
Is that at the corner of Flag and Mount Jefferson?
Yeah, it's that little blue house with the "Welcome to Hubbardston" sign, right there.
That's funny. I went by there the other day. It looked like somebody was living there, but it was a real mess.
Yeah, well, it did actually look like somebody was living there a few months ago, and then all of a sudden, it just didn't look like anybody was there anymore. So, if that incident that happened back in December, they did break windows and break the door and stuff, according to that report. So, if all that stuff is still the same and still exists, I can't imagine who would be living there.
Kathy, didn't you and Bill inspect that last year? Is that the one you inspected on Mount Jefferson?
Not that one, no. It was a different home further, closer to Williamsville Road.
Oh, okay.
So Kathy,
So
really-
I guess you get to use your iPad a little again to take more pictures, Kathy.
Oh, yeah.
Mallory, we can't hear you.
Oh, I didn't say anything. I think I
Oh.
giggled.
So Kathy, you're gonna stop by.
Yeah, I'll
And then-
stop by, take some pictures, perhaps put up some tape. Then we'll have to work with Mallory sometime, maybe next week, we can do a real house inspection. But we need to make notification to the owner that we intend to do that.
Do we?
We don't have to, but I would like to do that to keep things moving forward.
Right. My point is, we can do the housing inspection and then notify the owner of the result. We don't necessarily have to contact the owner and wait for any kind of permission to do the inspection.
We
Correct?
can do a housing inspection from, you
The
can't
outside.
trespass. You can't trespass.
Correct.
So you can see what you can see from the outside if there's a
Right.
glaring violation from the outside, but we cannot trespass.
Yeah, that we have to notify.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about entering the property. I was thinking.
Got it.
All right. Any more discussion on that before we move forward?
Just as one last point, I would suggest that if there's any reason to suspect anything you need to look at closer, that you call the police department and be accompanied by an officer. If you're gonna go on the property or if there's a need to do so. Because after reading that police report, I don't think you should be up there without an escort.
Okay.
Well, not only that, also the fact that that stuff was it was definitely not there last week, but this week they had those blankets were hanging there and stuff. So somebody's been there. So you probably might not want to go.
Okay. I'll just do the drive-by tomorrow.
Okay. Sorry, jumping around.
I'm sorry, I gotta move my move indoors. I'm getting chewed up here outside.
Mosquitoes. All right, moving on to old business. Food inspections. 2 were completed on Monday for One Stop and Hubtown Market. And I'll continue moving through the others. I do have a question for the board on food inspections. For residential kitchens, as I called to schedule with folks, if they're not operating currently because of COVID, Does the board feel that there's a need to move forward with an inspection for the residential kitchen if they're not functionally operating their business?
DPH says that it's up to the Board of Health's discretion.
I know that.
Okay.
That's why I was asking it
Yeah.
as a question.
Just making sure everyone else knew.
No, thanks, Mallory. I appreciate it.
I think the question to ask the person is, do they intend to make use of their kitchen license in the fall or whatever? And if they are, we could inspect them then.
Yeah, that's what I intended to do, was ask them if they're not currently operating, when do they plan to, and to let us know so we come do the inspection.
Yep.
But does the board have any objection, or does anybody have any objection to handling it that way? It is within our discretion to basically, not insist on going into people's homes for residential permits when they're not operating functionally.
Under COVID, I don't think we need to do inspections until needed.
Anyone else have an opinion on that, or can we move on? I just needed some guidance, so I'm trying to schedule these things. All right, next item.
The recycle center electricity, we are currently at the point of getting costs for a generator. All potential hookups to the pole are not going to happen. So by the next meeting, I'll have some estimates of generator costs to present, so we can make a motion as to which one we want to get.
Okay. Any questions from the board on the recycle center electricity? Okay, hearing none. Casella organic letter.
So we reached out to Jim Talbot to let him know of our last conversation. He is the one who would be in charge of doing the biomix up on Root Road. And I just let him know that, per our bylaw, I think it was number 28, we were requesting that confirmation that any of the mix that was coming in to fill would be in compliance with that bylaw. So I'm just waiting, haven't heard anything else back yet. That's where we are. Did you lose me?
Nope. We can hear you.
You can hear me.
That's
Thank God.
good, Mallory. I saw what you sent and it looked fine.
And then, oh yeah, wrong one. Keep going.
All right.
Okay, excuse me, I didn't catch the whole conversation. I had to rearrange my setting here. However, I did look into that deposit of that material, and apparently they've changed the mixture on that. From what I can glean from talking with a couple of people, they're having a hard time getting short fiber paper. So I don't know. I think it's a good idea if we have some kind of oversight on that project. And I've mentioned that before. It wouldn't cost the board anything. It wouldn't cost Mr. Sawyer anything. It's simply a matter of having somebody monitor it on our behalf, making sure that the contents of that soil is in compliance with our exclusionary bylaw, and also making sure that it's applied and the odor is contained and we don't have any problems with the residents or the owner of the property, or the owner.
I think you're right, Ben. So Mallory, would you send a letter to Ray stating that we need to ask for this confirmation of the contents, and as well as to Casella?
Sure.
And then once we have those replies back, then we can involve someone else to review it.
Okay.
And we also need to inform DEP of our actions before the 31st, I think, of July.
Yeah, I just shot an email off to let them know that it's still pending on our end, so.
Now, the report that we have on file from Casella's contents on the Cataisto pit. Okay, now that's going to be monitored through the planning board consultant, who is Bill Murray with his associates. I hate to reinvent the wheel. I think that we could probably piggyback not only on his expertise, but he's ready and willing to go. And that would be the methodology I would recommend. That we,
I can provide that information.
yeah, look into consultants such as Bill Murray and Places Associates that's done this work before, is aware of how it happens, and works on our behest, not only for the landowner, but for all the other residents in that section of the world.
Okay, Mallory, you got a couple assignments there on this.
Sounds good.
All right, any other information that the board wants to discuss on this? All right, Title V condos.
So the letter went out. I did get one from Brer Woods, which was already recorded in their file from 2018. So it's just a duplicate. But what I've done is I've started a separate file in our Board of Health files, just so that whoever is here within the next 3 years has a comprehensive or a copy of the letter I sent, a comprehensive mailing list, and an idea of what we're looking for. And I'm just going to start storing. What I did is I just kind of made a little tab for each one with the due date that their next Title V would be due. And hopefully then whoever, like I said, follows in my footsteps can just pick up every year, take a look and see when and who was due for their Title V. But I've only gotten one back so far.
How many did you send out, Mal?
5. There was 5 different.
So there's 5 condo projects with shared systems?
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell me who they are, please?
Off the top of my head, I cannot, but I can send you the mailing list tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I think I know them, but
Yeah. I think I wouldn't even be, my brain is so dead right now, I couldn't try if I want, but I'll send you the list tomorrow.
well, it's a good thing you're on vacation and you don't have to homeschool anymore.
Oh yeah. Trust me, that's not eating at me at all. Ugh.
No stress. All right, landfill research.
Yep. So I sent over a copy of the, there's not much that I can find. I went through our files. There's literally nothing. Going back to what Vin was looking for with the original agreement and how that was worked out. I was able to find a copy of the permit that was given to the town, which was kind of basic. But it did state that we are responsible for the upkeep and keeping it compliant with the state. So I'm assuming that would include continuing the monitoring. I'm still going through the town clerk's vault to see if I can't find anything else. But this is the most pertinent piece of information that I found so far. The rest of it pretty much went back, or anything else that I could find pretty much went back to when we tried to do the reducing the amount of inspections a few years ago.
Well, none of the stuff that you sent us, Mallory, has anything to do with maintenance after that.
Yeah.
This is strictly an agreement from the state with a deed, in fact, with no covenants whatsoever. And of course, it goes back to, what's the date on it? A long time ago.
Yeah, 65.
1989.
It was allowing it to be open. It doesn't even mention the closing of it.
No, it just says that
Operated in strict compliance with the State Department of Health regulations, sanitary landfill dumps. But I think you need maybe town clerk has a copy of the legal document that hopefully we have that gives us the parameters for maintaining it. And you know, it's got to be in existence someplace, but this doesn't help us with what we were looking for.
Buried somewhere in the Board of Health archives, probably the document, but I know it goes, the circuit rider goes back to 1989. All the way to 1997, there's 5 years of testing was done at that time.
Yeah, I was able to find out that we were just looking for
Yeah.
something that said we're legally responsible for paying for all that testing after the closure.
Yeah, and that's got to be buried somewhere.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I've moved on from our stuff into Lori's stuff, the town clerk stuff. So I'm assuming we would have had to have gotten permission from the state to close the landfill, not if we had to get permission from them to utilize it. They must have been involved in the closure of it at some point. So this is all I've dug up, but I'm going to keep digging.
DEP doesn't have anything?
I haven't reached out to them yet, Judy, but I can definitely, I didn't even think of that.
Because that seems to be the folks that we talked with back in the 90s.
Okay.
Well, in 65, when they signed this permit, Section 3 says that the commission has the right, this is the MDC, Massachusetts Metropolitan District Commission, now DCR, as the commission has the right to terminate such use and to revoke this permit at any time. Clearly, they did that because it's no longer a landfill. So that would probably be what we were looking for, is the revocation, the official revocation. It probably then contained terms and conditions if they imposed any, or we agreed to any.
Right.
So, I don't know, I'll say it again, you know, maybe town council, well, I don't know, maybe Copman and Page wasn't involved back then, but it's,
Well,
town clerk should have a copy of it if that's an official document.
what's interesting is the 6th clause on, what is it, page 2? The second part of that specifically says that the commission, its officers, agents, servants, in any event, be liable or held responsible for any damage or inconvenience caused thereby. So it basically says we're not to interfere with the rights of the commission to enter upon the use or care of the land or to construct, repair, maintain, or renew any structure therein or thereon. So it puts all onus for improvements, maintenance, construction, repair on the town with the conveyance of this permit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's for the operation, you're correct, but if this is now closed and they revoke the right to do it, and it says in section 2 of the permit that a notice of a revocation, if made, will be sent to you to such post office address as you may furnish. So there's going to be something somewhere.
Right, and they say that the revocation of this permit, all use and occupation by you or by persons claiming under you of the portion of land above described shall cease. However, it goes on to say that the use, care of the land to construct, repair, maintain, renew any structure, etc. Right? And it basically says they're not responsible for any damage or inconvenience. So I would assume that when they did the revocation, there's got to be follow-up documentation with that revocation that states that we have to maintain the land in accordance with the DEP, you know, blah, 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 would be my guess. But we'll see if we find it.
How far back have you researched, Mallory?
The files are pretty much just thrown together. So I started at the beginning with this permit, and then I have some stuff from when they originally tried to close it in the early 90s, and I found some documentation from when it was actually closed. I believe the closing date was in the 90s. And then I have all of our stuff from when we tried to move forward with requesting the testing to be reduced, but we weren't following up with the correct amount of testing and inspections from an engineer, so we had to kind of start over.
Yeah.
What was that?
Folks, I have to leave, so I'm gonna say goodnight and check out now. Sorry. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Kathy.
I have to leave the meeting now.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Bye.
it's,
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I think it's interesting, but I also think we should as a board consider the break-even cost here, right? So if we have X amount of time left on this, we know ultimately we need to increase our testing of the landfill in order to reduce the overall cost. Doesn't mean we can't do the research and continue. I just want to be sentient that, it doesn't become a 2-year project to do the research and a 1-year project to stop doing the testing.
Right.
Yeah, because I was on it when the board first started all of this back in '92, doing all this testing and everything else.
I did see your name.
Yeah, and then we talked about this too. Once we got into the 2000s, I got off the board around 2006 because my parents were ill. But we talked about why are we continuing to do this over and over. Everything's always come back clean. So why do we keep So we've been having this discussion since 10 years, and after 10 years worth of testing. I would have thought it would have proven itself within 10 years. So I'm all in favor of petitioning the DEP just to stop this foolishness.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what we're doing with the increased testing.
Yeah.
I just,
Sorry, Judy, what did you say you were in favor of?
Stop testing. This has gone on and on and on, and there's never anything been shown to be of any kind of consequence.
And the last thing I thought of was that we could also petition DCR for their records. They may have the documentation that we are looking for.
I would agree. I mean, we could talk to DEP and DCR, and then if we hit a dead end, I mean, ultimately.
He wouldn't help us. I think DCR is the agreement is between us and DCR, or MDC, formerly MDC. And I think they're the ones that are going to have the agreements. And my suspicion is DEP would just say, keep doing it for whatever reason they want us to keep doing it. I wouldn't involve them at all.
Right. Understood. But so even in a perfect scenario, right? So let's say DCR comes back and says, yep, we messed up. We should have been responsible for doing the testing. They're not going to issue a refund for the last 30 years, right?
Well,
So
no, I wouldn't expect that, but
I just want us to keep an eye on the end game, which is increase testing, get off the need to test more, and just get it off our plate.
That's right. It's $9,000 a year we don't have to spend.
Yep.
But DEP was in on it on the beginning, so I think it is worth going back and seeing what they have.
Yeah, it's their law that's being enforced. It's just,
Right.
it's the DCR was the agreement with the town.
Right.
So hopefully, Mallory, that gives you a little bit more, I don't know, places to poke.
Right. I don't know how hard we want to poke, but we can start poking.
All right. Any more discussion on that particular item before we move on? All right. New business, budget spreadsheet.
So I sent over, really not much has been happening. We have 2 checks that were deposited, one for a well permit that Kathy approved, one for a perk test that Kathy had done a while ago. And
What is the Roman Catholic bishop?
Let me see.
It's on the,
Heard of him paying anybody.
150, that hasn't changed. And that will get us stuff on. I don't think anyone has their MHAB certificate, so that might be something the board members want to look into. I took the class and attended the conference when I first got onto boards of health like 7 years ago, and it was fantastic. And it gives you a discount to all those classes, so you just have to
So-
vote on making the payment.
Mallory, you cut out
Oh,
like
great.
after the first 3 sent words, and I think we didn't understand a word you said. And Judy had a question about what's a Roman Catholic bishop. So could you? Sorry, can you?
Sure, no worries. No. The Roman Catholic bishop petitioned, or not petitioned, they sent in an application for a piece of property on, I believe it was Hill Road that Kathy went out and did the perk test on.
What road was that?
Just when she, hold on. Bemis, on Bemis Road.
Oh, Venus.
Yeah,
It was
we were
discussed
really,
during the last meeting.
yeah, we weren't really sure what they were doing, and I don't think she got a clear, concise answer because it's not a conforming lot. But that's really not on us to just find or say. That's the zoning enforcement officer. So I haven't gotten any results of that park test back in. The Roman Catholic Diocese does not own the parcel yet, but I think they're interested in purchasing that parcel.
Okay.
So they did a perk
That's-
test?
Kathy did a perk test.
Okay, we're just missing.
I know. I don't know why my,
Okay,
And the first part of the budget is what a amount paid for MAHB.
Yeah.
And that's the what's it called? Their certificate program and also the workshops. I did the workshop when I first joined the board, and I thought it was really helpful as well.
yeah.
So we just need to vote on paying that $150 invoice. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we pay the $150 invoice due to MAHB for membership dues.
second.
Second by Vin. Vote from the top. Vin, we'll start with you.
Yes.
Colleen,
Yes.
Judy,
yes.
and Kate is a yes. Motion passes, and we're gonna pay the membership bill. I know we get emails from you on MAHB activities and webinars and whatnot, but anybody on the board, I would say check out their website too, because they do have some really good information all the way across the board, no pun intended. All right. Any other unexpected business or unexpected subjects? All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn or take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
So
Oh,
moved.
wait a minute, do we talk about the Rieta Ranch complaint?
There
That was
isn't-
from last time.
That was last time.
Yeah, that was the one isolated,
Oh, I'm in
Person-
the, I beg your pardon.
personal.
Yep, got it.
I have not heard anything since last meeting.
Right. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
I heard 4.